From Studio 1Z, with the latest news, commentary, and weather, it's the KZRG Morning News Watch on Newstalk, KZRG.
It's FM 102.9, 105.9, AM 1310. And on your smart speaker, it's Newstalk, KZRG. Ted Bojorquez.
And Steve Scott.
And joining us live right now is Missouri gubernatorial candidate and current Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe. Lieutenant Governor, how you doing this morning?
Great, Ted and Steve. Thank you very much for having me on. It's great to talk to our friends in Joplin.
Well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Now, Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, I want to jump right into this with some of the big issues in Missouri that I know a lot of our listeners and a lot of voters are worried about. Rural healthcare facilities. They've been struggling in recent years. Granted, there's been some effort to combat that struggle to help bolster up these rural healthcare facilities. But if elected governor of Missouri, what would you do to bolster and protect rural healthcare in the state of Missouri?
Well, let me just say that you guys have created a great model in the Joplin area with the Kansas City University model. I've been there for the grand opening of both the dental school and the medical school. Rudy Farber and others in the area have been incredibly involved in getting those campuses open, and that's one of the big solutions is to provide the training for rural health for folks who want to stay in the areas where they're from. We think that's a strategic advantage that the Joplin area has. But, recently, I think, you guys know we've had multiple, I think 25 now endorsements, which is incredibly humbling. But one of those is the Missouri Hospital Association, and they have not endorsed in their 103-year history. And the reason that they endorse us is because they feel like we will concentrate and we'll have a plan to make sure we shore up rural health. It is the biggest crisis we have as far as keeping young people in various communities around the state, taking care of our veterans, our elderly folks who we stand on the shoulders of is vitally important to us. So making sure we provide pathways for our rural health care options to stay viable, making sure that we get broadband deployed so that telehealth options can be available in rural areas where they can't quite get it to the doctor. Our telehealth needs will work. Those are the types of things that we need to continue to work on. And quite frankly, these small bed hospitals that we see all across rural Missouri. I was in Bethany just a few weeks ago up in northwest Missouri where they're building a new 20-bed unit emergency service hospital up there, trying to make sure the communities have buy-in so that they understand how important it is to keep rural health in their areas. These are all things that we think can make a big advantage to Missouri and our rural health care system.
It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe here on Newstalk KZRG. In a similar vein of health care and hospitals, since the overturning of Roe, the abortion topic is top of mind in elections across the country. What is your stance on abortion? And if elected governor of the Show Me State, what material support would you provide for that stance?
Yeah, well, let me first of all say I joined many Missourians and Americans with the overturning, and we were joyous. I tell people all the time the most important thing an elected official can do is protect innocent life. I was awarded the Statesman of the Year award by many pro-life organizations as lieutenant governor a couple of years ago. As a senator, I voted in favor of every pro-life bill that we could have, including David Sater from down in your area from Berry County. His 72-hour waiting bill we were the ones that moved the previous question to get that bill passed. So my record is very clear on standing for pro-life. But I think you got to make sure when you have a governor, unfortunately, we have an issue on the ballot this November that basically allows murder almost all the way up to delivery of a baby, which is unacceptable, and I hope Missourians join me in voting no for that. But you want a governor, if that should pass, you want a governor who is a pro-life governor who will continue to fight for innocent life. You don't want somebody who says they'll quit if that issue passes. You want somebody who will actually be there to protect innocent life and do what we can to make sure any of those ramifications are limited in the state of Missouri.
It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe here on Newstalk KZRG. Mike Kehoe, switching gears here to more economic aspects of the state of Missouri. We're still enjoying the remnants of federal COVID spending. I know the city of Joplin is still utilizing ARPA dollars for various projects, but that money's going to be drying up and going away in these next handful of years. Now, I feel like the state has gotten used to enjoying that money. If elected governor, how would you help the state transition from being seemingly kind of dependent on that money for large projects to living without those federal dollars?
Well, the legislature has done a great job, including your senator and your House members, as well as the governor and others, of making sure that those federal flow-through dollars, including what you got down there in the Newton-Jasper areas, were one-time uses only. So we were very careful in the legislature to not use those federal dollars for something that needed ongoing funding. A lot of building facilities, different things that were done that's just a one-time hit were done. We know how to balance the budget in Missouri. We left over $1.5 billion on the bottom line this year after the governor signed all the budget bills. As a conservative, I believe that we don't have to spend all the taxpayers' money. We can actually put some away and not spend it all. And that fiduciary responsibility falls on all of us in the Capitol. But as governor, 35 years in small business, I understand what it is to have hard times. I know that hard work gets you out of hard times. And we will have some challenging budget years ahead of us. But as long as we continue to keep our economy going and keep our general revenue growth going, that will be a good place for Missouri to be in. And the fact that federal dollars are going away is fine with me. I'm not a fan of the federal government printing money left and right when they have no standard behind it. Thank goodness we have in Missouri a balanced budget amendment, and I think that's one of the best pieces of our Constitution.
It's Missouri Gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe here on Newstalk KZRG. Lieutenant Governor, we had a question from a listener on our KZRG video live stream, sponsored by Fast Monkey Auto and Liberty Tree Guns, and the question is, what is your position on using incentives to keep the Chiefs and Royals from moving to Kansas? I know that was some big news that came out recently.
Yeah, that's a hot topic of conversation. Let me start off by saying I'm not in favor of using taxpayer dollars to build stadiums at all. But if you look at the Chiefs and Royals for a minute, not as a sports franchise, but if you look at them as a business, let's say instead of the Kansas City Chiefs, the name of the business was Joe's Widget Manufacturing. If Joe's Widget Manufacturing wanted to move to another state, we, the state of Missouri, along with community leaders, would figure out a way to keep those jobs and the economic impact of that business in Missouri. We need to keep the Chiefs and Royals in Missouri, but the investment has to be good for our taxpayer. We have to be able to get a return on investment. You can't just throw money at the problem and hope that it solves it. You have to do something that makes business sense, because the economic engine that those two franchises support, or those two businesses, I should say, in that area, is massive. It's hundreds of millions of dollars over a several-year period. So making sure we're as competitive as we can to keep them where they belong, all while making sure we have a good return on investment for the taxpayers, is critical. And then we'll move forward with that as I know House and Senate leadership are meeting with ownership this week. I know Governor Parson's been meeting with them. We're going to treat it like any other business opportunity that we see here in the state of Missouri.
Now, Missouri Gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe here on Newstalk KZRG. We're up against the clock here, but I understand that you have an event locally today. Is that right?
Yes, we'll be at Granny Schaefer's at noon. We'd love folks to stop by and see us. We're excited to be down there. We've got a lot of help from local folks who are supporting that. Representative Lane Roberts, Patty Richard, wife of former Senator Ron Richard, one of my best buddies from the area, will be there with us. And we're excited. We come to Joplin an awful lot. We've worked on a lot of projects in the area over the last several years, and we're excited to be back in the community.
And Missouri Gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe, if people want to learn more about you, your campaign, your stances, where do they go?
That's great. It's MikeKehoe.com, MikeKehoe.com. On there, they'll find a video called Living Proof that gives a little 2-minute snapshot of my incredible journey through life and our humble beginnings and how we've been able to work hard to get to where we are. I think folks will enjoy looking at that. I hope they do. It does capture kind of the story and the blessed walk that I've had through life, and I hope folks would give it a view at MikeKehoe.com.
Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, running for Missouri Governor. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
You bet. Thanks for having me on.
We'll talk to you again soon. It's Newstalk, KZRG.